Thank you. I've been introduced as Ivan. My name's Ivan Tate, for those that don't know me. And this is my wife, Christine. We've been married 38 years and 2 weeks to the day. And so many things in Rebecca, in Rebecca, remind me of Christine. So, you're beautiful today. And I think back to the day I was married. The day I was married, Christine was in the car, and the car was going very slow. And Christine said, "Dear Daddy, you better speed up a bit." 38 years and 2 weeks later, I was in the car. We were half an hour late. I was panicking to get here early. It wasn't to be. Rebecca sat there as happy as Larry's, as laid back. And I was a nervous wreck then. I'm even worse now. So, on behalf of Christy and myself, I would like to say to you that it's our privilege and honour to welcome you here. And it's lovely to see you all. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And that's to their wedding, the wedding of Rebecca and Graham. The nerves are getting the better of me here. Okay. I've been told to just stick to what's wrote down. Okay. So, Rebecca, whenever I remember you growing up from an early age, you were born on the 7th of September 1989 at 10:05. She's our second daughter, and we have 2 older daughters. But Rebecca always liked to be in the middle, where Laura Ashley is at the moment. And I think to our hen day, Christy and myself were looking after 2 little ones, wee Autumn and Jack. And it took us right back to whenever Rebecca was a little one. And one of the earliest memories that we have is that she was an endearing and happy child. That was until it came to meal times. She had an uncanny knack of falling asleep. And that was from when the food was on the plate until it got to her high chair. So we used to have to take her out into the air and get her woke up, brought her straight back. Within 2 seconds, she was out for the count again. So, Graham, I think she's overcome that. Another wee memory is Rebecca going to playgroup. We took her to playgroup. She was a wee bit reluctant to go, but she went anyway. And as soon as we got her there, we left her off, picked her up 2 hours later, asked her how did it go. She told us it was fine. So I says, "That's good. You'll enjoy going next week." She looked at me and she says, "No, Daddy." I says, "Why not?" She says, "I've already been there." So I had to bribe her to go with various items. Rebecca's a fun-loving person. And she's retained her enthusiasm and enjoyment and laughter. She likes a lot of banter, but never in a detrimental way. Rebecca has always applied herself to her studies. As you can see, my mouth's dry here. So, but she went from primary school right through to university. And she went into nursing. She graduated in 2011. But she was always a restless spirit. After, I think it was 18 months or 2 years, she decided that she had itchy feet, she wanted to get out. So she went to Bible college. She went there for 2 years. The first year, she went on her own. The next year, I joined her at Bible college. And the two of us had fun and good times together. But one of the services that you had was you were to clean or do some sort of service as unto the Lord. So Rebecca was there, and one thing led to another, and I knew what service she had to do. So I checked and it wasn't done, so I went in and did it for her. And this went on for a few weeks. And I said to Rebecca, by the way, did you do your service? No, Daddy, I forgot. I was too busy. I said, that's all right. So I went in and I said to her, by the way, I've done your service. She says, you're so good, Daddy. But this happened the whole semester. So I ended up doing 2 services. She went to Australia after Bible college because she still was unsettled. And she finally got homesick. You know, and while she was there, she did nursing and looking around. Really, it was like a career break for her. And she enjoyed it. She came home. We were glad to see her. So she's well travelled. Excuse me. I can't even speak now. So whenever she come home, Chrissy and myself picked her up from the airport. And Rebecca, being the type of girl she was always flat out. So whenever we picked her up, we seen the wee yellow bag that she always had with her, the famous yellow bag. It wouldn't have been out of place in the yellow 911. So she had this bag, and I spotted her straight away. She came home. On our way home, Chrissy and myself chatted the whole way. Rebecca slept. I thought back to whenever she was in the high chair. So Rebecca, this is from my heart now, from your mum and me. We're both honoured to have seen you growing from a tiny baby into a beautiful woman, which you are. We're really proud of you. We love you to bits. And if I didn't love you to bits, I wouldn't be standing up here. And I really mean that. Believe you me. So, but the good thing is that our lives have been made the richer, and we're truly thankful to God for you every day. We're also thankful for the other two, but today's your day. Okay. Graham, now what can I say about you? Now I'm starting to relax, maybe be up here for half an hour. We met Graham after they'd been dating for 6 weeks. The memorable date was either the 25th or the 26th of December, which was a breakthrough. It had rained and it was miserable. Even a weather warning hadn't stopped him. So it shows you how keen he really was. Calling up to see Rebecca. Graham attempted to get home in his Porsche 911 or 911. The roads were flooded. I remember being in bed. I was in La La Land, sleeping away like a baby. Rebecca came in and said, Graham's had a wee accident. So I went out and nursed his car back with my T-Rock. So long short of it, after that wee mishap, Graham ended up coming back and staying for the night. I remember saying to him over breakfast the next morning, that's what we call a real icebreaker. Whenever, on another occasion with Graham, I noticed he was looking at my Ford Ferguson tractor. He actually asked me to go out into the garage. I wondered what he was at. This unnerved me a bit because he kept looking at my tractor. My tractor's precious to me. It's a Ford Ferguson antique. But then Graham looked at me and said, I really wanted to ask your blessing. And for this, I give it heartily. You know, he wanted Rebecca. I knew Rebecca loved him. I knew he loved Rebecca. So I'd already made my decision almost a year ago. Whenever I said to Rebecca, he's a keeper. Do you remember? Yeah? Just remember, daddies aren't stupid. The last time that he was in the garage, everything seems to happen in the garage with Graham and me. It's to do with cars, I think. But Graham was in the garage and he started to look around, and I said to myself, what's he looking at? Looking at my floor. And there wasn't much space. And here's me, what is he playing at? It suddenly dawned on me, here's me, I think he's had something here. And then the next thing was, I remembered he had the 911 sitting outside. Now, I was worried about the security of it, but Graham was too. He was measuring the floor in his head. Because I said to him, I wanted to test him. I says, by the way, Graham, would you prefer to put it in overnight and keep it safe? Oh, yes, that'd be great. I says, but will it fit? Oh, yes. So that's how I knew. I'm coming to the end here, folks. Since Graham came into our house, we've treated him like a son. We've loved him as a son. I don't have a son, but I do now. You know, and I knew that he had his feet underneath the table because I was out shopping at Tesco's. And whenever we buy things, if I'm buying them, I downshift. But Christine was putting these items in the basket, and they were quite expensive items. And I said, Christine, who are you buying them for? Oh, Graham. Graham likes them. So I knew that he was part of our family. So within a few weeks, I was putting the stuff in the trolley. That's how bad it got. But finally, I'd like to pay tribute to Ashley and Dad for a wonderful son you have. We love him to bits, and he's part of our family. you be treated the same as my daughters. No, one more thing. We hope that you feel part of the family, Graham, especially as you'll be residing close by in the loft in the croft. Now, if you could join me in raising a glass to the Mr. and Mrs. Thompson.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Ivan. Lovely speech. Very heartfelt and appreciate it. Ivan had his written down, so have I. The only reason I have mine written down is if I don't write it down, it lasts far too long, as some people will already know. So bear with me, I'm going to read it, and it's just better that way, trust me. Okay. Some of us, I suppose, very formal, and you'll understand that because we don't want to miss anything. But I'd firstly like to repeat Ivan's sentiments and give everyone, well, you're here now and you have been all day, but a very warm welcome with us. You're with us today to celebrate and share really what's a milestone day and a special occasion for us in the marriage of our eldest son, Graham, to Rebecca. And as we've just noticed, they're now officially known as Mr. and Mrs. Graham Thompson. Strange that, isn't it? They'll get used to it, and I think we can all look back to earlier on today and say that that was a lovely ceremony. There's no doubt about that. There's been quite a few comments, and I think that was a lovely ceremony. And I know personally that Graham and Rebecca had a lot of input into that. So they had. Before I say a few words about Graham and Rebecca, on behalf of Dot and myself, I would like to thank Ivan and Christine publicly for their kindness and generosity in providing for this beautiful venue and for the meal soon to be served. Thank you very much. It's really appreciated. Yeah. While I'm talking about Ivan and Christine, again, you don't need to sweat, Ivan. Ivan sweats when he was in my car earlier on in the summer because, well, never. We'll not go there. Thanks. I really mean this, and I think you mentioned it in your own speech, but we have noticed it. Thanks very much for looking after Graham since you've got to know him, and thanks for putting him up and feeding him and making him very welcome. As parents, we really appreciate that because children go out into the big bad world. You never know where they end up, but that's really appreciate that. Then there's another group of friends we should thank as parents, and I've never seen so many what I would call close friends of Graham all in one place, and on behalf of Dot and I would just like to say thank you. The reason I'm saying thank you is this. You're those people that down through the years have been there for Graham in different ways. You know what way you've been there for him, to support and to influence him for good. And as parents, it's a great encouragement to look on and see others who are looking out for your children and those who take a thoughtful interest in them and who are what we would term true and genuine friends. Thank you. And while we're talking about people who do good and encourage, can't forget the new additions, and I'm talking about Jonah and Seb, who are with us today. They're not here now, but they were part of today. Graham's nephews, of course, and they did really well in spite of for them I would have thought it would have been quite an overwhelming occasion, but they did well, and I'm sure Graham and Rebecca appreciate them being here too. Now Rebecca, I'm leaving Graham to last, by the way, okay? Well, there's reason for that. Rebecca, this is for you. Dot and I are thrilled to have Rebecca now as our daughter-in-law. We really are. When Graham first introduced her to us, after having apparently been on quite a few coffee dates with her, we were so pleased, and it wasn't very long until we saw that they were both just naturally at ease with each other, and we knew that we just somehow felt that Rebecca would be good for Graham. There's something just about the two of them being together, and we just saw that. Others saw it as well. And we just thought, well, what more could we ask for our son than that? So Rebecca, on behalf of Dot and myself, it's my pleasure to formally and officially welcome you to our family circle. You're a beautiful bride today, and we have no doubt you will be a loving and caring wife for Graham. I was reminded when I was thinking about this, about Rebecca, when she came into the family, about what Graham's late granny said and what her wish for Graham in marriage was. Granny Graham passed away just over a year ago, before Graham had even met Rebecca. And she said this more than once. Excuse me. This is what she said. She said, Graham needs a wee girl who will care for him well, who will understand his health issues and know how they affect him. A wee nurse would be really ideal, she said. And as I thought about that, I just thought, for today, we know for certain that Granny Graham would be truly delighted with you, Rebecca. And more than that, and Graham and Rebecca particularly will understand this, especially after today's service. The one in whom Granny Graham trusted during her lifetime, and the same person in whom Graham and Rebecca trust, he inspired the following words, and they're amazing. And they're written centuries ago, but they're valid and right up to date for today. This is what it says about a good wife, Rebecca. No pressure. Okay. A good woman is hard to find. She is worth far more than diamonds. Her husband trusts her, and she does him good and not harm. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks after the ways of her household and is not idle. Her husband praises her, and her children will grow up and call her blessed. Graham. That's one page about all that. This is 2 pages about Graham. Well, I think Ivan did maybe a lot about Rebecca, but anyway, no, it's not too bad. Graham, you've made us very proud today, very, very proud. I'm speaking about your mum and I. You're our firstborn, our eldest. And I can say without hesitation that you have been an inspiration and a support to your younger siblings, Laura, Ashley and Clark. And that's even from an early age. They looked up to you. I was going to say both physically and metaphorically, but that wasn't until Clark sort of outgrew you. And, well, that lineup of men today, you showed your height. But anyway, seriously, from a family perspective, just as the whole family perspective, in recent years, you've proved yourself to be a rock and a steadying and a positive influence through some difficult circumstances. We thank you for that. It's not all good, Graham. It's really not. No, it's not. Ivan talked about Rebecca, the date she was born and so on. Well, I know the date that Graham was born on the 11th of March 1985. Look at the photographs behind me. When you get to the loop, it shows his weight and all that carry on. But here's the thing. When you first came into our lives, Graham, you kept us waiting. And waiting. And waiting. I was able to take the dog for a 2 or 3 mile walk while you were on your way. In fact, your mum was 34 hours in labour. Yeah, mums, women, you'll understand all about that. Okay. So, I don't know what that was about. Perhaps it was a sign of things to come. I don't know, but the truth of the matter is, Graham actually turned out to be so laid back. He was placid, content, and happy from day one. Now, his aunts and uncles are here, and they can vouch for that. You know, he was just horizontal. But if I tell you that, on the other side of that, this continued even when he developed what we at that time called chronic health issues. And even during those times, he remained unfazed. He never ever complained. He never acted up like a spoilt child. He had cause to, but he never did, even whenever he was hospitalised. So how did he get to where he is today? What's the journey, so to speak? Well, basically the journey has been on 4 wheels from an early age. His enthusiasm and his interest in cars started at a very young age. At 15 months, he took my car keys and thought he'd try and get into my car while we're on holidays. There's a photograph up there that shows that. Then we noticed, sort of 4 or 5 years old or thereabouts, he could tell when he's sitting in his baby seat in the back, he'd look out, and we were travelling at night time, the cars in front of us and the tail lights, and he could tell what sort of car it was just by the tail lights. You know, now that was then. Nowadays, unless it's certain types, it'd be difficult, but that was then. And this continued, his interest continued for years, and he basically became, as David has said, I suppose, a walking car encyclopedia. Now, that actually stood him in good stead, because when he joined Isaac Agnew Group, I remember him coming to me shortly afterwards, and I said, "How are you getting on?" It was within sort of a couple of weeks, so like, you know what your first job was like. If you're in 2 weeks, you're still the new guy. And he says, "Daddy, those guys don't know anything about cars." And I says, "What do you mean?" I knew it was coming. I says, "They don't actually know anything about it. I know more, and I'm only starting." I said, What do you mean they don't know about cars? Sure, they sell cars." And he says, "Yeah, well, they sell them, but there's a lot of numbers. It's all about numbers, pushing them out the door. No, let's carry on." I says, "Yeah, that's what it's about, Graham. This is the real world. You know, now, David, the MC, works in Agnew still, and Peter is a colleague. Peter Keeley is a colleague in Agnew's, but they know exactly what I'm talking about. But fast forward a couple of years, times were bad in 2008, jobs were on the line. And I say this because, as a dad, I looked on and wondered, because he wasn't meeting his targets. And I thought, he's out. He thought, I'm out. But somebody looked after him. Yes, physically here, but definitely God did. But physically here, what happened was, they saw that Graham, his knowledge was such that they could put him in a wee niche, a technical niche, to support the ones that were actually selling. So that's maybe a bit long-winded, Graham, but I think I'm right in that. Okay. But anyway, this going on into his 20s, he developed a fondness after sort of dipping his toes in his first car was a Citroen. David? Yep. His next one was Golf GTI-ish, with a blown head gasket. And the next one was a Golf. And then he went to the one with the 4 propellers, the blue and white propeller, the BMW. But what he now likes, I persuaded him to jump into the yellow, black and red crested brand that he has today. We both have a love of that, and he knows that. But with Graham, it's not for show. He's not a show-off, never a poser. Graham is a pure appreciation of engineering and design. For all that, and there are others in the room, for all of that, they will also know he's not a bad driver, track or off it. And there's a few here who have been behind him, who've been in front of him on the track, and who've been in beside him on the track. And it's all good. He's not bad at all. In fact, I will say this. There's quite a few in here who dislike Graham when they're racing against him in karts because he's always on podium position at the very end. On the 22nd of October this year at the Stag Do, that's where he was. Podium number 1. So, anyway, no speech would be about the groom would be complete without some wee funnies. Okay, I told you it wasn't good. Childhood. His own language. His own language. Yeah. Every child has their own language, of course they do. But Graham's, well, I think it was on another level. 9 nines. What's 9 nines? Digestive biscuits. Huh? Munners. Munners. Mushrooms. DDD. Postman Pat. Teenage years. The brand thing. Nike and Sony. His mum had problems. Shopping with or for him. Adulthood and life at home. He's been with us 37 years, so there's things that happen at home when you reach that sort of age. You know, there's habits. In recent years, there's one wee phrase that comes to mind and a wee action that springs to mind more regularly now for the last maybe 12 months or so than was before. And that is do you make me my lunch smile? Wee bit of quick background. For years, Graham's mum made Graham's lunch because Graham lived at home still. Sorry, guys and girls. Made his lunch to go to work. He let it slip to his colleagues and he got a bad time, and gradually come up with a conversation. Went something like this. Okay, well, his mum sort of not called him out on it, but sort of said, well, actually it wasn't his mum, it was Laura Ashley probably more, called him out on it and said, look, you're old enough now to make your own lunch. So, long story short, they come up with agreement. Sunday night, he would get his lunch made for him, and the rest of the week, it would be, he would make his lunch. So that was fine. And the arrangement, fine, no problem. However, as I say, in recent times, that slipped because he had arrived home late from Dromara or other places, and he would catch his mum's attention as he came through the door, and he'd go, and she would just know, yeah, you want your lunch made? And he would say, so. And actually, recently, it's got to the stage, and I think it's just because this day was coming up. He doesn't even need to be late or going anywhere or being out. He just goes like this, smiles, and his mum says, do you want your lunch made? And she says yes, because she knew that today was happening. So, and that sort of leads me on to what we don't really want to say, but we say it. We'll miss him. Mum and I will miss him. He has been, well, the other two left over 10 years ago, around 10 years ago. Not, you know what happens. But we've had Graham for 37 years. Wondered when, no. So seriously, I speak for Mum and me when I say to you, Graham, we'll miss you. We really will. Miss getting our cars washed. We'll miss you picking up the merchant chippy on your way home. And I'll miss you at mealtimes for the car chat. Your mum won't miss that. And there's another thing we won't miss. We won't miss you putting the heat on just to dry your bathrobe as you go out the door in the morning. Like, it's going to be dry by the time you get home anyway. Or using too much space in the garage. Or leaving microfiber cloths all over the joint. Or letting the coffee cups pile up on the desk in your room. Quite a long list. And having your... It's quite a long list, Clark, yeah. We could go on, but anyway. Seriously, old Graham, finally, really seriously, we will miss you about the house, period. Simple as that. And finally, for you both, it's Mum and mine, it's our heartfelt wish that you and Rebecca have a long, happy and healthy life together in the will of God and with His blessing. And don't forget about us at the wee house on the top of the hill at Ballybolan. Can now raise a glass.
Okay, so before we get started, we have a couple of bouquets of flowers to give out. Okay, so we'll go grab them.
He's given me the mic already.
Do you want to? Okay, sure, you go, give it. Okay. There you go, Kristen. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no, stand up. Okay, so here it is then. Rebecca told me to just be myself when doing this speech, so if you could all direct your eyes to the TV, there's a 42 slide PowerPoint on the history of the Porsche 911 just about to come up. Right, that's seriousness. On behalf of my wife and I, thank you all so much for being here today with us. It really means a great deal to us both. It's truly wonderful looking down the room and seeing so many family members and friends here. We've received so many gifts and cards as well. We want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for this. We've been able to kit out the loft and the croft with the new furniture, and are also hoping to have a great time in New York. We head off on Saturday morning to New York. So thank you very much for your gifts. There are a few specific people and businesses who have helped us bring this day about, so I'll just go through this list now. Edenmore, firstly, Lisa, Josh, Cherry, Kenny and Aaron, and the whole team here have been so much help throughout the whole process. Nothing was ever too much for them. You guys have absolutely been brilliant. I want to make a special mention of Lisa. We commend your dedication. Lisa, thank you so much. I think they do deserve a round of applause. Church at Newton Breda Baptist, we want to thank our pastor Johnny Wright for conducting such a lovely ceremony and helping us prepare for it, and all the staff team at NBC for their help in the setup. The musicians, the sound guy, Ricky, visuals by Rob and Sam. There's so much which goes on in the background to make it happen. We just thank you. Also Heather, our vocalist, created the lovely order of service for us today as well. Just on a personal note to Newton Breda Baptist, thank you for welcoming me into the church over the last 2 years. You've all been such great help to me. And Rebecca and I very much enjoy going there. Listening to great teaching and worship, and we're looking forward to getting to know everyone better there. There's smoke coming from somewhere. Is that all right? That's okay. Turn me. Okay. To Rose and Thorn Florist, run by Lois Little. The flowers look absolutely amazing. Thank you for your help with decorating the church and the venue here at Edenmore. Also thanks to all the Little, can't remember where these are all sitting, Little and Bar family for their input and their help with the decor today. Chapel Lane Cookery, run by Claire Massey, has created a beautiful cake, which will be served with the evening buffet. Simply and Jewellery, run by Naomi McConnell, who unfortunately can't be here today, but has made Rebecca stunning jewellery for today. Our photographer, Gillian Higgins, and videographer, Matt Campbell, of Trinity Films, truly talented people in their area of expertise. We thank you so much. Sticker Pig, run by John Beckham for the table name cards and the seating plan. I'm sure some of you couldn't tell who thought of the theme for the table names, but yes, it was actually Rebecca. But no, I tasked John with coming up with printing my ideas, and I'm pretty pleased with them. So on to a few more personal thank yous. To the drivers of today, Wayne, driving Dad's lovely big Citroen C6, Peter driving the brilliantly blue Company 3 Series, Clark, big bro, tall bro, driving the very white and old Citroen ZX. When tasked with sorting the cars for today, my aim was to have my cars and family cars all feature, and you've all helped make this a success. I just thank you for that. And I can't not mention David Graham, who's an absolute star for bringing his own lovely 1970s Citroen SM and driving Rebecca and Ivan to the church this morning. I think you can all agree it was absolutely stunning, to a few people. A few people have travelled quite far to be here today, for which we are very, very thankful. The Edge family, I think got the boat over yesterday from Scotland. I'm pretty sure, was it quite rough sailing? Yes, it was. Just a wee bit. And David Wilson has been travelling all week from various countries to get home to Norway first, and then to travel over here to Northern Ireland to be here today. Thank you so much, bro. Bridesmaids. Natalie, Rachel, Laura, Ashley and Hannah, you all scrub up very well, I have to say. Thank you for being great sisters and friends to Rebecca and getting her here today. I know you all have helped loads and supported her, organised a fantastic hen do for her as well. Thank you so much. Jonah, he's not here, but didn't he make the cutest page boy? Thank you for your help too, and little Seb helping his dad earlier was brilliant. Just on that note, you'll all notice that we have decided that instead of favours, we have donated to a couple of charities. Children's Heartbeat Trust and the Royals Neonatal Unit. Both doing amazing work, and they both mean so much to both of our families. My men, should I? No, I definitely should. Ushers, Jeremy with Seb and David, thank you for your help at the church. It's very much appreciated. We threw a lot of tasks at you, but you were definitely up for it. So thank you very much, David. You're doubling as MC. Although I'm maybe regretting giving you the mic now, but sure, no. Honestly, you're one of my oldest friends, and I treasure the days spent working on the cars, driving, cruising about the port, and Ken's car park, of course, as well. Ken's car park will not mean anything to anyone here, other than this table, probably. My groomsmen, Clark, David and David. You all mean a great deal to me. I so appreciate you all. David and David, your friendship down through all these years has been great. The banter, the road trips, the advice, the challenging talks, cinema trips, all honestly I appreciate you so very much. Truth be told, God has blessed me with awesome friends down through the years. All of you here today, I appreciate you all so much, whether we are friends from childhood, school friends, church friends, or friends I've made from the car show scene. God has been good to me in that way. Best man, Aaron. I'm not actually sure I should thank you, as I haven't heard your speech yet, so can I come back to you after? Yeah, no. Aaron, we were introduced over 12 years ago, and a guy couldn't ask for a better friend. Your integrity, your values, your care for other people, and your general good banter and crack. I count it a privilege to call you my best man. Is that enough to make you go easy on me? No. Thank you for all your help and support getting me here today. To Laura, Ashley and Clark, the siblings, can I just say, performing at the church was awesome. It was absolutely brilliant, and I think they deserve it. I don't know why I missed out on the musical talent in the family, but sure. Growing up with you both has been great. It's as simple as that. I have fond memories of our childhood because of you guys, and I just count it a real privilege to be your big brother. We are grown up now, but I think it speaks volumes that we are all still so close, and I love you both. Ivan and Christine. Since the very first moment Rebecca brought me to the family home at Croft Road, you have both made me feel so welcome. I was instantly at ease, feeling very much at home. And it was obvious from the very start that your girls are your life. However, there was someone who made me feel especially welcome. Hudson. Hudson's their big Labrador. Chocolate Labrador. From the very first time he brought me the slipper, as soon as you walk through the door. Your slipper, Ivan. In all seriousness though, Ivan and Christine, thank you for welcoming me into your family, for your profound kindness and generosity, and for giving me the best gift of all in Rebecca. Mum and Dad, I might need a wee drink for this. Where do I start with Mum and Dad? You've had me at home for 37 years, so I guess you guys deserve a medal and a lot of free time. I actually don't know where to start thanking you. Both of you have been... I'm just going to read this because I'll not get through it. Both of you have been simply amazing parents. From as long as I can remember, myself, Laura, Ashley and Clark have been put first in your life. You brought us up in such a loving home, taught us well, cared for us with great compassion, and sacrificed loads in order to do this. You brought us up to know the scriptures, showing us that not only do you love us, but that God loves us, and showing us the way of salvation. Mum, simply thank you for being my mum. The love that you have loved me with, which only a mother can, is simply staggering. You gave up your career in the bank to bring me up and care for me. You've always been there for me. I spent so much time in hospital as a kid, but you were there for me. My whole life, you've been there for me, looking after me, putting me and my allergies and health problems first to make sure I was okay. And since then, you're still looking after me, whether that be washing clothes, ironing, making lunches, dinners. You even went the whole way to Tipperary with me one day so that I could get my border collie Molly. I could literally go on, but it comes down to this. Thank you for simply being my mum. Dear me, this is hard. Dad. My earliest memories with Dad are also when he was by my side in the hospital as a wee kid. You were there for me then, and have continued to be there for me. I remember fondly our Saturday bike rides together, down the old lane, the various car trips together to buy or sell our cars, and teaching me good, strong and grounded biblical principles from a young age. I can't thank you enough for the influence you've had on my life. In more recent years, we have continued to enjoy the cars together, working on them together and helping each other, or shouting at each other. Building our garage together during lockdown was just brilliant crack, and something I will treasure forever. Also, your training on keeping the cars clean is going well, by the way. Mum and Dad, today marks the day I fly the nest and leave Bramley Hill. Thank you so much for everything. I leave you with one thing to do for me though, as I cannot take Molly with me to the loft on the croft. I leave her in your very capable hands. She'll be one of the very, very many reasons I will call back home to see you guys. Just before I move on, as you can all see, there are no grandparents here today. As the oldest grandson on both sides of the Thompson and Graham family, I wish they were here to see what an amazing woman I have married today. Just last year, as Dad has said, we lost Granny Graham. But I know Rebecca, that she would have absolutely loved you and be so pleased for us on this, our wedding day. And that leads me into Rebecca, my wife. Doesn't she look absolutely stunning today? Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the thought, the planning and creativity Rebecca has put in for today. To plan and organise a wedding in a little over 4 months is a tough task, but I think we can all agree Rebecca has done an outstanding job. And just on that, I have been to a lot of your own weddings, and I have a newfound respect for you all. I never knew what level of detail and organising goes into creating a day like this. So this has been quite the 15 months. Who would have thought that a simple hit the like button and match would have resulted in this? For those who don't know, Rebecca and I matched on a Christian dating app in August 2021. We didn't know each other at all. We literally had one mutual friend, and Dave is here somewhere today as well, down there. And that was it. It took me a few weeks to get round to asking her for a coffee, but I did. We met, and the rest is history, as they say. Rebecca, I am so glad we matched on that app. And I thank God for bringing us together. Getting to know you, falling completely head over heels in love with you, doing life with you has been the best experience of my life. You are my best friend, such an incredible person, a beautiful soul who is kind and generous, loyal and trustworthy. Your inward beauty is matched by your outward beauty. You're quite simply stunningly beautiful, so much so I have to pinch myself sometimes. I love you. I love the time we spend together, whether that be road tripping, shopping, eating out, dog walking Molly and Hudson, although not together. We haven't ventured into that yet. It'll be interesting when they meet. And just generally doing life with you. And you even put up with the cars. Although secretly I know deep down you love the 911. I thought when I proposed in July, that was the happiest day of my life. But by marrying me today, you've made me the happiest guy ever. As God has brought us together, I look to Him to help me be the best husband for you and to spend every day for the rest of our lives being the husband you so richly deserve and loving you more and more each day. I can truly say my whole heart for my whole life. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Aaron, and I've had the pleasure, if you can call it that, of knowing Graham for about 13 years. For some reason, even after all that time, Graham still thought it would be a good idea to ask me to be his best man. Now, a couple of things. He's obviously made a big speech, and not sure how I'm going to follow that, and there's a crowd of hecklers sitting at the table in front of me with 3 Davids on it. We'll see how we go. Graham, what you may not have known at the time, whenever you asked me to be your best man, is I don't have a great track record in this role. On a previous occasion, I managed to completely miss the wedding rehearsal. I was completely uncontactable by phone, and the groom, well, he was standing at the front of the church going, "Where is this man? Has he put his car over the hedge, or what has happened? Why has he not been in touch?" Thankfully, that wasn't the case. It was fine, but we got past that. I'm pretty sure I then went on to mess up his best man speech at that wedding. So this time around, I managed to make it to the wedding rehearsal. It was first at the wedding rehearsal, and that doesn't happen for me to be first anywhere. And well, for the speech, we'll see how we go. Let's hope for an improvement. Before I go any further into this, can I take this opportunity to thank Ivan? Can I thank you for your warm words of welcome, for what you had to say about Rebecca and about the couple, and also to Ashley, for your words about Graham. Christine and Dot, for all that you have done to make this day happen. And just when I'm on thanks, I'll keep going to the bridesmaids. Thank you for all that you've done to help and to get today to happen. So as you can imagine, given how long I've known Graham, there's a few stories to choose from. Graham, you won't be, if you know him, you won't be surprised to know cars feature in them. So, big shock there. About 10 years ago, I was in need of a new car. Advertised my own car, Vector Estate. Found somebody in Scotland who was ready to buy it. Looked online, found myself a Passat estate in Scotland. Oh, okay, we'll get in the boat, we'll go over, we'll try and sell this car, and pick up the Passat and come home again. Davy Curran, sitting in front of us here, and Graham decided that they would piggyback on the back of this. They flew over, and Davy, Gravy, isn't your nickname, Davy? Davy went to test drive a BM. Subsequently went on to buy the same car and brought it home too. Long story short, I have still got the same Passat, and I asked Graham the other day, Graham, in the time that I've had the Passat, how many cars do you reckon you've had? The answer came back on a WhatsApp, about 10 personal ones and 20 corporate ones. So while Graham's love of cars is obvious, my affection for cars is probably more functional. I think is the way to put that. So on another occasion, a few of us went to Florida, Graham. So we went to Florida. I think of Florida, I think sun, bit of a chill out, a bit of sun, bit of time in theme parks, a few roller coasters. Well, for a man who likes his speed, Rebecca, you need to know something. Roller coasters really aren't Graham's thing. Okay? There was this one time, after much standing on the sidelines watching Davy Curran, Jeremy, and some of the rest of us going on the roller coasters, we managed to convince Graham finally to have a go. The Manta at SeaWorld. Graham, it's really not that bad. You have to do it. You can't go home without going on a roller coaster. You can't come to Florida and go to all the theme parks and just stand there. No, Graham, it is fine. I know it tips you up and you're looking at the ground as you go. Like, it's great. You can't see where you're going, and you know it'll be grand. Well, anyway, we got Graham to go on to this roller coaster, and probably stagger off it. Yeah, just about stagger off it. I think if Graham had been able to stand up straight coming off the roller coaster, I would have been a dead man. I think would have been the head of it. Yeah. You'll probably not get them on roller coasters, Rebecca. I'm not sure if they're your thing or not, but they're not Graham's. They're not. Okay, there we go. Happy days. So he did get his payback though, and this is something to watch out for. In the days following, we rented a car. Graham was involved. Had to be something different. A red Mustang? Camaro. There you go. See, don't even know what it is. We travelled down through the Florida Keys, right down from Orlando down to Key West, right down the very south, and then made our way back up through. It was a really good trip, really enjoyed it, and we had good crack on the way. Come back into Miami? Yep. Yeah, so cut the city, right? Another Mustang? Yep, okay. So we're coming in, nice white Mustang on the interstate on the way into Miami. Well, Graham, boys will be boys, shall we say. We came into Miami quite quickly. Yeah, that'll work for it. And some of you will maybe have heard the story, but yes, never been as scared in my life. So, Rebecca, renting cars, don't let them get too carried away. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think he'll be able to take the control out of his hands on it, but just don't let him get carried away. So, Graham and I, we mightn't talk from one week to the next, and that will be relatively normal. We mightn't talk for a couple of weeks, but we just pick up where we left off. Last September, hadn't been much contact at all, until one evening in early October. So, I've got some news, came the message. Followed by a picture of Graham and Rebecca. First impressions, Graham is punching well above his weight here. So, Graham and I caught up a few times in between then and Christmas, and things seemed to be going pretty well. But it took until the start of January for us to meet Rebecca, and that night confirmed it. Rebecca, it was great to be able to share a meal together, to see how you were interacting with one another as a couple, even in the relatively early stages of your relationship. Your personality, your character, Graham, you'd found yourself a real keeper. And chatting to Graham, even at that stage, I can assure you, he had no intention of letting her go. Rebecca, you're a beautiful bride. I look forward to getting to know you more in the coming years. And from what I know of you already, your beauty is not only on the outside, but also on the inside. Graham is a very blessed man to have you by his side as you start your new life together. Seem to have got awful serious here, sorry. Graham, we've had some good times. From Ballymena to the States and back and over to Norway, there's been plenty of crack along the way. Some pretty serious chats along the way too. There were one or two moments along the way whenever I wondered, will either of us ever make it to the top of an aisle? But here we are, having made it not only to the top of an aisle, but back down again. You're now a married man. Rebecca's problem now. All the best, Rebecca. So that's where I typed, and then I've written 3 more wee things in here. First one, red sauce. Anybody who knows Graham, red sauce. Doesn't matter what the meal is at all, has to have red sauce. Steak, chips, chicken, chips, anything. Well, there's normally chips there too, but tuna sandwiches and red sauce. I know there's chicken sandwiches today and red sauce. Everything has to have red sauce. So for anyone in Rebecca's side of the family who is thinking about having Graham over for a meal, to maybe get to know him better, or you've probably already had experienced this, no matter what it is, there will be red sauce asked for, and please don't take offence if you've spent hours making a lovely dinner and it's covered in red sauce. It's just Graham, there's no offence intended. Cleaning, housework. I don't know, Graham. Don't know what your track record is. Haven't asked Dot, haven't asked Ashley. I'm seeing a head shake. What I do know is Graham knows how to clean. Okay? You will see from the evidence in the pictures that Graham can detail cars. Yeah? So Graham knows how to polish, he knows how to hoover, he knows how to wash, he knows how to clean his microfiber cloths. So, I'm taking that and going, okay, well, he can do the dusting, he can do the hoovering. And so, Rebecca, don't let him off too light. Okay? Those skills, not exactly honed to housework, but very transferable. Cooking, He's never cooked for me all these years. Don't think, take your chances on that one. Faithful friend is the next 2 words that are written down. Graham, it's been great getting to know you over the years. You've been there, as I've already said. We've had some fairly serious chats, and we've had a lot of good crack along the way too. It's been a privilege being your friend, and I thank you for being my friend, putting up with me as well. And thank you. It's been great. Anyway, I'll go back to what I've written down, and hopefully not keep you too much longer. I've said to you before, there'll be loads of fun to be had in the years to come, and there will be no doubt be challenges which you both will face as a couple. Guys, look to the Lord for your strength. Look for Him as a strength in your relationship, and keep your eyes on Him. He will get you through whatever is thrown at you. He will give you the strength and the wisdom if you ask for it. There's a room full of people here, guys, people who love you as individuals and as a couple, and some of us who are getting to know you as a couple, some of us know you better as a couple. Some of us are a few years ahead of you, and some of us are many years ahead of you down the road. We will be praying for you as a couple, and we're here to talk to you. And not to take away from the Lord's place in your relationship or from talking to each other, but we're here to talk to and make use of us. Don't be afraid to reach out. And I'm sure I speak for Rebecca, for your friends on that too. Anyway, enough of the serious stuff. Rebecca, I hope you know what you've let yourself in for. This Egypt, his cars, his dogs, his red sauce, whatever else. Despite his quirks, you've got a good one. It's time I stop talking and let everyone enjoy the rest of their evening. But before I do, can I ask, if you're able, can you please be upstanding? Graham, Rebecca and Graham, we wish you God's richest blessing as you start your new married life together. To the bride and groom.